All right. What's up, everybody? Wait, that just didn't really good. So listen, I had all intentions of opening this video up with some buttery B-roll akin to some Peter McKinnon that I just love. And well, I have 2 children, so pour over is never gonna happen. And Nespresso just makes this machine where you just pop a pot in and bam, you get instant goodness. So it got me thinking, what's my next video? And I got my idea right now. So let's get into it. Have you ever looked at your achievements and thought, how did I get here? Well, if you have, you're not alone. What I'm describing to you is what's called imposter syndrome or imposter phenomenon. Imposter syndrome occurs amongst high-achieving individuals who have trouble accepting and internalizing their success. They often attribute their achievements to being in the right place at the right time, rather than their abilities and talent. The worst part about it is that they actually live with a crippling fear also that at some point they're going to be exposed as a fraud because of that luck. Well, now what's crazy is that an estimated 70% of people will experience these imposter feelings at some point in their lives. For many of us, objective measures of success allow us to prove ourselves. They can include anything from getting additional certificates in a field of study to a master's or doctorate degree. They can be things like competing in physical competitions like a marathon or competitive workouts. And they can even be as simple as multitasking and purposely multitasking to show that you can juggle multiple things in your life at the same time. Though imposter syndrome isn't listed as an official mental disorder, psychologists have acknowledged that it has a serious impact on the mental health of individuals and is often accompanied by anxiety and often depression. Now see, where imposter syndrome tends to flex or show up the most are when individuals decide to transition from one career or one study to another. Basically, a major shifting of your life. Someone with imposter syndrome has a major fear of being found out. They're constantly worried and trying to prove themselves because they feel, again, that the reason why they've gotten to where they've gotten to is because they've just happened to stumble into it, that they knew the right people, or like I said, just dumb luck. They just did something and happened to get it right. Even if they experience outward success, they often have trouble believing they're worthy. And that's a major thing because you can do so many good things, but if you don't believe that you've earned it and that you've done it, that is going to rage a battle within you. Now, researchers say that people who deal with imposter syndrome usually fall into one of 5 archetypes. So the first archetype is the perfectionist. The perfectionists set extremely high expectations for themselves, and they even meet 99% of them, but that 1% that holds them back will have them feeling like they're a fraud, a failure, and a fake. Any small mistake that they do will make them question their competence. Next, we have the expert. The expert feels the need to know every single piece of information before they start a project. They're looking for new certificates and trainings to prove that they are worthy of the position. They won't actually even apply or jump into a situation until they meet every single requirement. It can be 95% perfect for a situation, but because, like I said, that 5, like the perfectionist, they're not going to do it. And this actually can happen both in a professional setting and in a classroom or student setting. These are the types of people who refuse to speak up in an office meeting or a classroom because they're afraid that if they get the answer wrong or they say the wrong thing, that it'll prove that they're inadequate and that they're not meant to be there. Next, we have the natural genius. These are the people you know who do it one time and knock it out of the park or do really well without having to constantly go over it. They tend to, if they run into resistance or they run into a challenge after the second time, they're like, nope, I'm done. I'm not meant for this. I'm not good enough. They don't see that resistance as a challenge to get better. Because for these people, they're used to having everything come easy to them. So any sort of challenge is proof that they're a fraud or a fake or an imposter. Next, we have the soloists. These are your lone wolves, the people who have to do everything on their own and never ask for help. Why? Because asking for help would be a sign that they're a fraud or an imposter and that they're not meant to do whatever it is that they're setting out to do. They feel the need that they need to excel in all aspects of their life by themselves. This is work, family, friends, whatever it is, they basically don't need help. They're a strong, independent man or woman who don't need nobody. Next, and finally, we have the Superman or the superwoman. Now, these are the people who want to do anything and everything, and when they can't, they feel like they're an imposter. These are the types of individuals who are going to constantly be pushing themselves past their limit to prove that they are not imposters or frauds to everyone else. They feel the need to succeed in every single aspect of their life, and if they don't, then they're a failure or an imposter. They often feel the need to be successful because that is what determines who they are, and when they're not achieving high levels of success, that they're failing. Not that they're just coasting, but that they're actually failing. Now, this really hit home for me as I was writing this, because it's like I almost feel like I'm all 5 archetypes, you know? And people who battle or deal with imposter syndrome tend to procrastinate. They tend to put things off, like this video, because it's never good enough. It's never gonna meet your standard. It's never gonna have the energy or whatever it is you're looking for to get from it. And so we have to constantly retrain ourselves, refocus, retool our mind. And so he or she may over-prepare, spending way too much time like I have on this video. I think this is again like my 7,000th take. I don't know how many more I can do because things like that. But it's okay, because at the end of the day, done, like I said in the last video, is better than perfect. But listen, there are ways that we can overcome this imposter syndrome, and I'm gonna go over a few right now. So the first thing I would do or suggest is get an accountability partner or a mentor. Find someone who can check in on you, or you can check in with, who's gonna motivate you, push you, and remind you of your greatness, remind you of your potential, and push you to get there. A mentor or an accountability partner will also maybe pinpoint some of those times where you're letting those imposter feelings take over. They'll let you know maybe when you're doing too much or maybe you're doing too little. The point I'm trying to make is these people should really be able to pinpoint when you're either slipping or when you're getting lost in your feelings. And what they should be doing is pushing you to say, hey, I know it's not the way you want it. Hey, I know that's not the way you've done it, but you can do it. You will do it. And so instead of internalizing and imploding, what they're trying to do is hold you up. Next thing I would suggest, pay it forward. Find someone that you can mentor. Find someone that you can help teach so that you can pass on the knowledge that you have, the expertise you have to the next generation. While doing that, that will be a way for you to recognize, hey, I really do have what it takes because I've done X, Y, and Z with this person. So when you find someone and you pass it on to the next generation and pay it forward, that will remind you that you're not an imposter. Third, I would say, remember what you do well. In our church, we like to say, inspect what you expect. I think it's really healthy, and I think it's super important that you take inventory of what you've been able to do, what you've done, and what you plan to do. But real inventory, you know, like take measurable things that you've actually done and said, hey, I've done that. You clearly didn't do it by dumb luck. There had to have been some sort of talent or work ethic involved in it. Write it down. Put it down and remind yourself what you've done and how you've done it. There are naturally going to be areas where you're strong, and there's naturally going to be areas that you're weak. And when you can look and be self-aware of what you're able to do, that will help you gauge where to go next, because then you know your strengths and then you know what you need to work on in terms of your weaknesses. Next, we have progress over perfection. We talked about this in the last video. Nothing's gonna be perfect. Nothing's ever going to be done. You just gotta go, put your best effort forward and say, this is it. This is what I can do, and hope that it turns out the best that it can. Because at the end of the day, like we said in the last video, done is better than perfect, right? Lastly, and the best advice I can give you is talk to someone. Get some professional help. If you're dealing with imposter syndrome and you're dealing with these imposter feelings and you feel like you're not enough, I think it's best to go talk to someone about that, to go get a second perspective. Get someone who's not intricately involved in your life, who may not know you that well, who can sit there, look at you, have a conversation with you and go, no, I think you can do this. Or maybe they'll tell you, hey, here's some of your weaknesses. Here are some of the things I think you can work on. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility, but here's how you can do it. I think either way, whatever you're struggling with when it comes to imposter syndrome, I think there's always a benefit in seeking counseling and talking and getting another perspective in it. We can't have something standing in our way. We have to be able to just go through that wall of doubt and say, I've done things. I'm okay. I'm gonna be okay. I know what I have. I know what I bring to the table. And if you don't have the things that bring to the table, that's a great opportunity for you to work on them. That sets up goals. That sets up success for you in the future, because sometimes that's what we need in life. We need something to chase. And so I don't know if this video helped you. I know it's gonna help someone, and I will see you guys in the next video.